Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Christensen. This is Horror 101 with Dr. AC, and welcome to Scare-A-Thon 2023, benefiting the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project. Today, we are talking about DEADSTREAM from 2022, and holy mackerel, what a fun movie this is. I'm super excited to chat about it, and I'm bringing in my awesome panel of guests consisting of Kevin Matthews, beaming in from the UK, Robin Graves from the far reaches of LA, and Chris Scales from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. And I'm here in Chicago. Thanks everybody for coming on the show. Really excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, thanks for letting us on. This is going to be a blast.
So I kept hearing about the buzz for this last year, and I just never quite got around to it. When did, Robin, let's start with you. When did you see this for the first time, and how did you hear about it?
The day it came out, for like as soon as it hit Shudder, I was there. I heard about it just I'm friends with a lot of like independent horror filmmakers, and some of them had like retweeted or something about him plugging it, getting ready to come out. Then Shudder drops their like whatever month it came out. They had the like, here's what's releasing this month. And I saw the name and read the synopsis and was like hooked immediately. So I knew like counting the days for that one.
Cool. Chris?
So I don't really do the Shudder originals. I don't tend to pay much attention to them unless, there's just word of mouth that comes out about them. But I actually attend a horror film festival every October here in Colorado called the Telluride Horror Show.
Yep. Great
and show. They I got here on a Thursday night. I got there on a Thursday night last year, and they were showing DEADSTREAM. So I just said, you know what, I've got nothing to do, so I'll just go in and see it. So I actually got to see it in a full theater setting, and that was really fun.
That's awesome. Kevin?
I had to sit and watch everyone react to this and rave about it online while it was doing the festival run. And I just had to twiddle my thumbs and hope that it got a major release at some point. So I was happy when Shudder did have it on the platform. Really keen to see it and see if it lived up to the hype.
Yeah. This was one, again, I'd been hearing about the buzz for a long time. I just watched it earlier today, and I was expecting it to be good. I didn't expect it to be what it was, though, which is it's this amazing comedy, like problem solving commentary on society. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much happening, and it's happening in real time. The basic setup is that we've got Shawn Ruddy, who runs the YouTube channel or whatever he's running. It's not YouTube, it's something else, but he has a channel called Wrath of Shawn, where it's all about facing his fears. Just that opening sequence of the various stunts that he's done in the past, the baby Moses recreation. I was like, okay, I'm in. I don't care if you do anything else for the next 90 minutes. That was worth it. And it's played by Joseph Winters, who co-wrote and directed the film with Vanessa Winters. But anyway, so that's the basic premise. And he is going to spend the night in a haunted house, and he's going to live stream the whole thing. Now, as somebody who is, ostensibly live streaming over here, I was commenting to Robin backstage. I was like, it takes me like 8 minutes to get my microphone set up and then my camera set up and then and I'm watching this character of Shawn, like throw all these, cameras up in real time and, doing stuff on his panel. I'm like, holy shit, there's probably people who can do that. This is like a day in the life for them.
iPad kids. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was like, this is clearly old man AC here. Just like going, look at the technology they've got today. It's quite something, don't you think? Anyway, yes, I thought that our character of Shawn Ruddy is hilarious. I've not seen any interviews or anything with Joseph, so I don't know how closely they mirror one another. If anybody has any input on that, please toss it in there.
I haven't seen anything with him, but I would kick myself if I didn't bring up, he's got the best scream I've ever heard in a horror movie. It is so good. It puts me in stitches every time.
And he's got the best teeth because he's constantly doing like those selfie shots. And I'm like, look at how they're even. Like, I'm just like, it looks like a little like cornrow. I'm like, that's amazing. Anyway, this is just me, you know, me and my nasty orthodonture, you know, having envy over here. But anyway, I really, this movie's a real kick in the pants. Again, very fresh. It doesn't feel like every other first person, you know, found footage we've seen. Chris, what was it like watching it with a crowd?
Oh gosh, well, a lot of them had seen it before, but those of us who came in, I mean, it was kind of already pretty late by the time it aired. And at first, I would say the first 20, 30 minutes, at least the first 1/3 of the film, you know, I was chuckling a little bit, but I was like, oh gosh, this isn't going to be some ghost story or something like this, is it? And I was just like kind of getting a little out of it. And then, you know, I guess I'll say spoilers.
I'll throw it up there.
Okay.
I got this. Look at how tech savvy I am, everybody.
but when the character of is it Chrissy or Christy, one of the others, but which comes on and then she transforms into Mildred,
right,
and goes for that bite, I was like immediately sold. What am I going? I'm in, whatever this is. And then the audience, you know, bursting out laughing, especially with the little like little chats going on at the side.
Oh my god!
Because even when he stopped responding to them, and they're just like, "Get out," and they're like, "Hey, I think Christy's kind of hot," and we're like, "I do Mildred," and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it was a nonstop laughter just throughout that part.
Well, the running comments, I just thought, like, because it's like such internet shittiness going on, where it's like, this is awesome, this sucks, this is I'm going to get a sandwich. You're just like, oh my god, like what is? But it felt so authentic, so real. I was like, yes, that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes this film like so special in that place it falls in, because there's like countless live streamer, YouTuber in the shits like found footage movies out there. Everybody has tried to like take the piss out of like the influencer type, but this one has such a like working knowledge of how those people are. Like you would see this guy on YouTube, and the comments are how people comment on Twitch. Like, it's so keyed into the reality of it that it really helps sell the whole thing.
Kevin, what was so you finally got to see it?
Yeah, and I was very happy with it. Like, you know, Chris said, it does really kick in at the halfway point, but it's pretty perfectly paced. That opening intro is a perfect character introduction, gives you the laughs, you get all the exposition as you would throughout. And what I like about this is it's presented as basically a found footage experience, but it never actually once claims to be a found footage experience. It's this guy makes his living through the screens, has monetized them and been demonetized for a while for things that will come available. And the only time we see basically a Blair Witch style card is a good little gag, a fake out before it really gets into it. And I like that because, as you've all said, it is the authenticity of the character and the live stream experience, but it's never tried to jump through hoops to frame this as you're watching this whole thing right now. You're watching the live stream, but you get the intro, you get a little jump, and it's just saying, this is how we're presenting this. It's got to be maximum fun.
Yep.
And you're so right. I had never paid any attention to that, but they don't do the like, what you're about to see is the footage recovered on June 23rd, 2021. Like, they don't do that like over serious thing with it. And it like, I don't know, that's like one found footage trope that you can take out and like have the whole thing change because of.
Yep.
And I think if you're doing a found footage film, then you are, for better or worse, beholden to that choice, which can make or break a movie. I've watched so many, I'm sure you have watched so many found footage films where you think, well, who's filming that part? Or why are they doing this? Or they might cut for a montage. And you're like, who made the montage? So I like that this gives them leeway, and they've never stated, anything otherwise. Like, we're just presenting it this way for this experience.
Well, and that's exactly my point, though, is that like the tech on this feels very real, where you can have, because we've evolved so much, that you can have somebody doing a video and it gets sent as a comment, and then you play the video and he can access that and show the video to everybody. I was like, this is amazing that we've entered this realm, because it does solve all of those problems you're just talking about, Kevin. Like, you can have that kind of storytelling where I can bring in other characters. It doesn't just, I'm not just stuck with this character because that's how it's been set up. There's just this one person. And I mean, like, when Chrissy shows up in the house, I was kind of like, okay, I understand that, we're not going to try and do an entire movie with just this one guy. So here's somebody for him to play off of. And I enjoyed that. I think she's pretty funny as well. But I like the fact also that, kind of go back to your Blair Witch comment, I like the fact that this is clearly made by people who know the tropes. They know the films that are going to be in the public knowledge. They know what they're referencing. I mean, they make comments like, The Ring, about John Carpenter, about Blair Witch. They blatantly reference the Blair Witch Project. And it's like, okay, I'm in good hands. I've got somebody who knows how to tell this story. I got somebody who knows the genre, and he's happy to poke fun at it, but also play within the lines of a horror movie. And I just thought, like, what a great balancing act.
It feels like it did to found footage what Scream did to a slasher movie. And in the same way, there's so many movies that try to catch that in a bottle. And you have to come to it like so sincere, because any amount of cynicism in any direction like sticks out like a sore thumb.
There was there was a term, fansplaining, and I was like, where the shitty comments are coming up and like, are you fansplaining to me? I'm like, is that actually a term? Because if it's not, I love it.
It needs to be coined. Yeah, it's good.
Oh man, but yeah, I loved the fact that we're given characters for Shawn to play off of, but they feel completely based in that reality. Nothing feels really artificial about it, and I love that. I also love the fact that it turns, it's a haunted house, but then it also becomes, is it just a gag? And then things start ramping up, and I'll just say there's monsters in this movie, folks, and they're awesome.
Yeah, the whole thing, like, I remember watching it for the first time and being like, oh, it's 2022 Evil Dead 2. Like, it's got such of that, like, I'd appreciate anything that's like, it's gonna tickle your ribs while it's pulling the ribs out of your body. And like, I think that's a lot of fun.
I think one of the things that kind of what you mentioned as far as the monsters, Doc, is I don't think this movie would have come off as well if the makeup effects weren't so darn on point.
Oh man.
Just, the close up of, especially it's not really spoiling anything, but the tub scene at the end, I'll just do that anyway. But yeah, the tub scene at the end where he's waking up and he's got the monster down at his, his crotch, or even when he kills the corner ghost, the guy who's kind of playing the corner ghost, he dresses up as a sheriff. And when you see him, impale him with the potato gun of all things, and he falls through and he falls on him, and you can see that close up there, and it doesn't look fake. You can't tell this a rubber mask. You can't see the linings of, the makeup that they're using there. And I think this movie comes off so much more authentic because they did such a great job on the makeup and creature effects here.
Yeah.
Well, and I just know that tub water smelled crazy.
Oh, you know it. Troy Larson is credited with the monsters, and Michaela, either Kester or Hester, I can't read my own writing, provides the makeup. But both of those are just wonderful. And I think you nailed it, Robin, that it is that kind of Evil Dead, goofy, cartoony stuff, but it's also like visceral enough that you're grossed out by it, that you're affected by it. You know, I mean, when that eyeball flies into the chick's mouth in Evil Dead 2, like we all know that's goofy and fun, but you still have that like, oh God, you know.
Yeah,
Super
and
fun.
there's some really solid scares in this Deadstream, like peppered all throughout it. Like that's my favorite is when somebody like can balance really being like actually funny, writing jokes and like telling jokes and being funny, and also like scaring you beyond just like a loud noise or whatever. Like there's a solid creep factor in a lot of those scenes.
Just going to say from the title to the fact as well that he goes from being demonetized to being demonized. The humor and the horror run perfectly in parallel throughout the whole thing. Like really cleverly done.
Yeah.
One thing that I really wanted to say really quickly is while I was watching this, it wasn't just Evil Dead that was coming into my mind. It was also, especially with the whole apology, or at least why this whole thing was happening to him, this really reminded me of Drag Me to Hell. And then that just whole connection just started. I was like, man, this really feels like what a Sam Raimi directed film as a found footage film or as filmed in first person would really be like.
Right. Or what Sam Raimi would do if he were starting off now in 2022. I mean, I've said in previous shows that, you know, I don't think the Sam Raimi who made Evil Dead doesn't exist anymore because he's, you know, he's moved forward. He's successful. He's got more toys to play with. But I'm kind of like this, you know, our Joseph and Vanessa Winters, like they are going, what can I do with the resources I have available to me in Utah of all places? I was like,
oh yeah,
go ahead.
Did you see the short he did for VHS 94? Whichever was the one before the most recent one.
Yeah.
He did one of the best segments in that movie was his. And it's that same like Raimi-esque kind of feel about it.
Okay. No, I don't think I had, which is interesting that what had he done before this that would get him a slot in the VHS world? Because usually they make a big movie, you know, they have a nice indie hit and then they go, hey, great, you can do our, you know, short subject. I wonder if he went the other way, if he created something short that they're like, cool, you can do a VHS segment and then progressed up to a feature.
I know on his Twitter like header before Deadstream came out, he had VHS listed in there.
Okay.
So I don't know how that all came about, but I'm so glad it did.
Someone might have seen an early cut of this and thought, okay, yeah, it's good enough. If you've got an idea for
that's also
VHS,
true. Yeah,
let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know when this was actually made, or you know, like the difference between when it finished production and when it actually hit this festival circuit, and then when it actually got released. You know, there's always that kind of lag time, you know, where it becomes very elastic. Looking at the credits really quick, there are Cooks and Winters scattered all through the credits, so it's clearly like a small family affair. But Jared and Joshua Cook they show up in like multiple positions, you know, like, you know, sound editing and, you know, props and blah, 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 blah. So I love the fact that it's like this little group of weirdos that are all hanging out and going, here, let's make a movie. Because that calls me back to that idea of Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and Rob Tappert all like heading out to that cabin in the woods and making this happen. I just feel like there's a real joy in watching this film unfold.
The love comes across like big time.
Yep, absolutely. This is kind of this movie was kind of a template of how I eventually want to make, you know, when I get around to making movies, is that kind of like, if I can get just a group of my friends together and we just take a camera out in the middle of the woods and we just film whatever we can come up with.
Yeah.
And that's really where you find stuff, though, is like just getting people that work well together and throwing something at the wall.
I want to throw up just a really quick spoiler, just because I want to talk about some of the specifics, like the little kid sitting on the edge of the bed that you're like, oh yeah, that's going to be the creepy kid. And then he turns around. He's not just a creepy kid. He's got a creepy kid with like, this like weird creature coming out of it. He's like the Quatu from Total Recall.
Yeah.
Nice
I
reference.
was like,
Yeah,
man,
no
there's
joke.
just so much good stuff. And the creature that's in the woods that he stumbles across and before the sheriff, like you just see like that little glimpse of it. And it's like, holy crap. Like
It's
that.
creepy looking. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, there's just, again, like you said, Robin, it's a great blend of genuine horror and genuine humor. And it's so tough to pull off either one of them, much less doing both at the same time.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Can count on, or let me phrase this a little different. You can count up to horror comedies that fall really flat in one of the two departments way easier than you can the ones that like walk that tightrope really well.
Yeah.
And this one is up there with the best of them.
Well, and I know everybody has somewhat of a quote, presence online, but like that idea of trying to generate a following, while also doing something that is genuinely creative, like I think that's another kind of weird line to walk of not trying not to pander, but also, doing something that is genuinely entertaining and that's going to attract views. I mean, like the idea that he has a sponsor that he's trying to appease,
Yeah.
I'm like, what a strange world that is, where you're like, I have to do certain things in order to, entertain the masses. But I'm also like, I'm putting myself in danger here.
Right.
It's kind of like, where does that line fall? And
Yeah.
I loved it.
I think him stopping to do ad spots for the energy drink. I have it playing in the background. I just got past one of those scenes where like horrible things are happening and he still has to like take a sip of the energy drink. It makes me think of like when you listen to like a true crime podcast or something and they're like, and then they found her daughter buried 6 feet in the backyard. And we'd like to take a minute to thank our friends at HelloFresh. Use code blah, blah, blah. And like, it was such a like, it's such an absurd thing that like everybody's familiar with and they played with it so well.
But it also allows him to be the prime version of someone in a horror movie who's doing the things they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Like get out of the house, start the car. No, he's thrown the spark plugs away. Unlock that door. No, he's thrown away the key. From the start, you find him quite likable, but you're also thinking he's an idiot. Because if things go wrong, that's him completely just up the creek.
Well, and it's funny that you say like from the start you find him likable because, and it's, I guess we're like, just like a person that grew up watching a lot of YouTubers. I can't stand the guy. He's like so Mr. Beast, like, hey guys, why don't you smash that like and subscribe? And like he plays into that so well, and like it makes me want to shake him. And like because it's charismatic, but it's like you're nasty under there, and I just know it.
But he's 100% doing Mr. Beast, right?
Oh, completely. Yeah, totally.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think that's what makes him, for me, Kevin, I agree. That's what made him likable, is that he knows what he's doing. Like, he knows he's playing this type that you're like, oh, we fucking hate you.
Yeah. I mean, I maybe should have said like amusing and watchable rather than watchable, but definitely holds your attention while he's doing all of the stupid things we know he shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And we know he's got form on that from the videos we've seen.
And on that same note, going back towards the end, where he's people want him to apologize. And if you read the little comments throughout, he's like, apologize. You need to actually put up a real sincere apology. And you see during one of the opening clips that he does apologize for something. It's sort of like one of those hand wave, I'm sorry you're offended apologies.
Right.
And then he gets more into it and he's just like, I'd like to apologize to the Mexicans and blacks and women. And And I'm just sitting there like, I really want to know what he did. All I know is he did something to some homeless person. I think they said he got into a fight with a homeless person and didn't know he was sick.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of like the whole like the thing with like the Paul brothers, I believe, when like, you know, because like the Paul brothers got into trouble with stuff like that. And like PewDiePie, who they reference a bunch in the comments, you know, got into stuff like that. So I think that also brings up the fact that a lot of these popular YouTubers have quite a bit of controversy around them from doing those things that they think will just, you know, generate clicks and generate controversy and attention.
Well, the idea that like the more of a train wreck you are, we can sit back from the safety of our computer chairs or our phones and watch you do all this. There's no risk for us. The risk is all for them. Like they are risking themselves, their reputation, their, you know, livelihood, their life in the service of entertaining us and keeping our attention. And I think that's, again, kind of going along with the comments. It's like it costs them nothing to share that opinion, you know, and it's like, it's such a safe place to operate from, whereas the folks who are out there on camera are the ones doing the work. And it's such a weird relationship between them. Like I found that fascinating, but I feel like it doesn't come off heavy-handed. It comes off. I'm going to throw up the spoiler banner just because I want to say this line out loud. Like, this is for the Mexicans and the blacks. I was like, and then it pans back and you see the hand on the ground. I'm like, oh man, it's just anyway.
Oh God.
The finger up the nose, the fact that they did that more than once, I was like, I love you so much. So just anyway, I found it just delightful. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next, what they do next.
It's also very rewatchable if you can do the spoiler banner there for a minute.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This time around, I couldn't recall how the rope and bucket came into play, and then later on when he just dives out an open window, almost had me cry with laughter because I'm like, yes, that is the fastest way out at that moment. But you've been set up with the rope, and then it's just bye.
Yeah, and that's a thing I love in just about like. I feel like found footage does it a lot more than some other movies do, but like there are so many like Chekhov's gun moments where like if the camera lingers on a thing for too long, you're like, that's going to be used later. That's coming up somewhere. Like the bucket and like all the random holes in the floor and just, you know, all that. It's so much fun.
All right. Well, that I think we've danced around it's so many spoilers. Sorry, everybody. But this is a great movie, and I'm so glad that we got to chat about it. And thank you all again for joining us. This is Scare-A-Thon 2023, benefiting the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project. The link to donate is below in the description. Please make a contribution. This is a cause that's very important to myself and my guests. So please give what you can. And we will be back very soon. Until next time, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep sharing the scare.